Hi, I'm Bill McDonald with High Ground Medical. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we're going to run through our sales training program. It's called Uncovering Your Customers' Needs Through Effective Sales Techniques. We have a number of people on the call today. We have sales representatives, sales people who are interested in getting into the medical device market. We have some distributors with us. We also have a few corporate people. So thank you all for joining us today. We're going to run through the training program. I will give you the ins and outs of what we offer. And then at the end, we will go through the question and answer session. As requested, we will do the questions and answers after we have gone through the entire program. And at that point, we're probably going to stop the recording, which has been requested. At this point, I'll begin going through our presentation. As I said, there are a number of people who are here who are looking at getting into the medical device field. And for the most part, it is very difficult to get in. I know that. I recognize that. I think everybody who is in the field has gotten in through some sort of unique situation. Myself, I was out of college and trying to find a job. I was doing various warehouse temporary jobs through a temp agency. And one of those put me in a position where I was cleaning out a warehouse. Like anybody else trying to get a job, you work as hard as you can doing what you are doing. And I was lucky enough, the person in that warehouse asked me what my career aspirations were. And after I explained it to him, I was lucky enough that he came back to me and asked me if I wanted to meet the people from Human Resources, that they were, in fact, an orthopedic company. So that was my entrance into the market. And I'm sure everyone has their own unique story. That just happens to be mine. It is without question some degree of luck, but as Thomas Jefferson said, he was a great believer in luck, and the harder he worked, the more he had of it. And I'm a firm believer in what he said. I'm also a firm believer in a term that this was actually I read back in the 1980s from Jim Rohn. And it was, you get compensated for the value you bring, not for the time in the position. And I'm paraphrasing what he said, but I think it's very, very important to realize that we're trying to bring value to these companies as representatives. So the important thing is not that we are doing a job, rather that we are stepping in and we are bringing forth the value that we bring and bringing that to the company so that we can go ahead and help them grow and help ourselves grow. One of the things that keeps coming back is that you have to build your reputation over time. This is an industry that a lot of people say, well, I don't want to have to pay my dues. I'd like to move up faster. It's not a question of speed. It's a question of how quickly you can build your value. Time is probably the least important aspect of this statement, but building the value is without a doubt required. And I'm going to come back to this statement in a little bit because we use it in another part of our program. So why are you here? A number of people have expressed an interest in the program. They want to take the training program. It is a one-day program. We do this usually on a Saturday. It is about 9 hours, and it is 9 intense hours. We follow the Pomodoro training method, if you're familiar with that. It was done by, I believe it's Federico Cellini was the person who developed it. It's 25 minutes on and 5 minutes off consistently, and it's just rapid fire. So we do get a break. Like I said, we do it on a Saturday, so you're not getting pressured from normal daily activities. And we do have a working lunch that is fairly relaxed, and I'll get into that in just a moment. So the medical device programs that are out there, some of you have gone through different trainings, either with a distributor or have gone through one of the schools that are out there, which I fully recommend. But one of the things that we've heard from distributors that have hired these representatives is they are great case cover reps. But a great case cover rep doesn't necessarily mean that they're a great sales rep. They don't have the sales skills that they were really hoping that the representative would have. So we're hoping to bring this program to more people so that they can see what it is we have to offer as an augment to those other training programs. Typically, you go through one of those training programs or through a distributor program, and you learn the anatomy, the physiology, the biomechanics, and the terminology so that you can carry on a conversation about the product. You can cover the cases. You know enough about the surgical protocols to be able to be there. And over time, after you've seen a few, you can start to cover a few cases, and that certainly serves a very valuable purpose. But the greatest value you can bring is bringing in new business. And that's where, again, we'd like to offer our services. Most training programs from the big companies are product specific. They're run by product managers. I've done that when I was a product manager. You're trying to get as much information into the hands of the representatives as possible. And typically the sales skill portion of it falls to the distributor or to the representatives themselves to be able to work on and hone those skills. After the product manager has gone through and presented the design philosophy, the design rationale of the product, regulatory affairs may come in and talk about what you can and can't say as far as claims go, making sure no one is getting outside the boundaries of whatever that product clearance is. And then usually there's the customer service function so that you all know how to go ahead and fill out your forms, get your purchase order numbers in, get their product replenished so you can go ahead and cover the next case. So when you come out of that, what do you know? Generally, you have the feature advantage benefit selling technique. So you can go through and you can talk about the product, but that doesn't always come to the customer's aid where the customer has a problem and you have to identify it. And that's really where we focus. Sometimes in those programs, they do have role plays at the end. The role plays are often with some of the regional managers or maybe with a designing surgeon. And really what they're looking for are you as a sales representative to say the right words. And I kind of often refer to it as buzzword bingo. That's not a derogative statement in any way. Really, all we're doing is saying you need to be able to sell, and selling is more than just talking about the product and mentioning things that are on the marketing brochure. So the bottom line is your customers, the distributors that are out there, everyone is really looking for a little bit more. And so that's why we have this program, and that's why we've done this with a number of the companies whose training we've developed for their product side, and we've also incorporated the sales side. So if you have questions about that, I can go through those at the end. Again, so here is what it is we do with the program. The morning session is our building blocks. And we go through really 4 sessions of building blocks. Each session is an hour. It's split into 2 25-minute segments, again, following that Pomodoro method that I mentioned. Excuse me. We'll go through the sales call anatomy. We'll go through words and actions, and those 2 things I'll go into greater depth on in just a moment. We'll get into the line of questioning, how to ask the questions that are going to solicit the information that you need from your customer, and then have your own answers prepared, not necessarily scripted per se, but have enough information so that you can tell the customer in the language that the company wants you to use how to solve that problem, how their product is going to be the solution. So that way we still cover that regulatory aspect that I mentioned earlier. So the full day agenda, we go through those building blocks. We then have a working lunch. That working lunch is a discussion on brain function. And the reason we go to the brain function is our brains and our customers' brains are the 2 things that are processing all this information. And there's so much new stuff that has come out over the last 20 years. It's almost embarrassing to call it stuff. Valuable information that has come out over the last 20 years that I think everyone will benefit from. And it's a wonderful opportunity to know how the brain functions, why the brain acts the way it does, why people act the way they do. And really, when you're selling, you're not selling facts and figures and getting people to buy on logic. That never works. People buy for emotional purposes. So what we're going to do is we'll talk about all those facts and figures that you have to have because that's part of it, but ultimately the decision is going to be made on the emotion side. So we'll then get into other things in the afternoon. Again, you can see those there, and I'll talk about them in a moment. But the sales call anatomy, let's focus on that for just a second. What is that? That is the sales representative's knowledge and passion, understanding the customer's pain points, and then following the function, which is that transfer of trust from the sales representative over to the customer so he or she can make a buying decision about your product. I'm not naive enough to think that it's going to happen instantly. I know it takes multiple calls, but you get to understand this. So this is happening over time. And here's the function laid out over time. The blue line is the pain point for your customer. Now, this could be higher, it could be lower, it can move while you're talking to your customer. Customer's pain point can drop if their needs suddenly become more urgent for your product. If they see the need, their pain point is going to drop, and now your know, like, and trust factor is going to be higher. And that know, like, and trust factor is the orange line on that function. So once that crosses, that's where the sale is going to be made. And a sale can't be made until that know, like, and trust factor is above the pain point. Now, it's not necessarily going to happen right at that point, but until you get to that point, you're really not talking about the actual buying process. Instead, you're still working on building that know, like, and trust. So, sales call anatomy, personal introduction. We'll work on some skills so that you can walk in, make a very powerful introduction. You're really making your introduction in the first 4 to 8 seconds. That's all you have. So we help you gain that strength, talk from a position of power. Now, once you've done that, we have you lay out the sales call. So you're going to talk about the reason for your call, not what you're selling, but what your customers' needs are going to be and how you're going to be uncovering those customers' needs in a thoughtful question so that you can express what it is why you're there and what it is you're seeking, how they are going to benefit from what it is you're seeking. We expect you to put a time limit on it. So when you go in and make a sales call, you can say you're only there for 10 minutes. That's what the nurse out at the front desk gave you. That's the amount of time you have before the next business meeting that maybe the surgeon has, or he or she is off to a lunch, whatever the case may be. There's a time limit. Now, they can change that. They can give you more time if they want to, but what you're doing is establishing what your expectation is for their time. And then ultimately what the call plan is, what you hope to achieve. That takes away all the questions in the surgeon's mind or the customer's mind as to why you're there. Who is he? Why is this person here? Why is she in my office? And how long is she going to be here? All those questions are immediately taken out of the customer's mind. If you've ever been faced with a salesperson and had those questions running through your mind, you know how it can be disturbing. So we take those off the table. We go through the question and answer sessions, thoughtful questions with wording that is going to be very important for how you're going to draw that customer in to be able to get them to a point where you can close them. Answers where you're solving their problems and reaching the ultimate solution. So once we're there, we get to the close. We'll talk about closing techniques. There are lots of closing techniques, and we'll talk about different ways that we can do that, again, through questioning and also through our words and actions, which is going to be the next thing we're going to talk about. So words and actions. One of those things is prosody. Prosody is the 90 to 95% of all the things that you put into a word that is not the letters themselves. So it's the pause, it's the volume, it's the tone, it's the emphasis that you're putting on a particular word. It can be the volume that you're putting on that word. All those different things play into how you're communicating with your customer. Now, earlier I had mentioned a sentence and I said we were going to come back to it. So here it is. You must build your reputation over time. Now we can change the emphasis very simply and change the meaning, or at least the take-home message from that sentence. So first we start with, you must build your reputation over time. Now, if we want to make it more of an imperative, we say, you must build your reputation over time. If we want to make the emphasis about the action, we say, you must build your reputation over time. And you can also say, you must build your reputation over time. You can't build someone else's reputation. So we could go through the entire sentence, but you get the idea. Changing the emphasis is going to be a powerful tool. We can also change tone. We can change volume. We can do lots of different things just with our voice, which is going to be very beneficial to drawing that customer in and conveying our message in a very strong and effective way. So the rest of the effective sales technique program, we will go through the brain function luncheon, as I mentioned, planning the sales calls. And this is getting everything together so that you can go in and make an effective sales presentation. What you need to have, what you don't need to have, and how you're going to utilize those tools. We'll then get into the call continuum. And this is the entire sales call. This is from prospecting all the way through to what do you do once you've had this customer on board for years and years and you're trying to manage them. We'll get into the sales techniques. This is where we're going to go beyond just the words. We're going to get into why we're doing what we're doing in a sales call, how we're leading the customer to where we want them to by asking the right questions, answering the questions the right way, and getting to the point where, of course, we can get to a close and get our customer using our product. And finally, we'll get to the really fun part, which is sales funnel management. This is where you're doing the exciting part of dealing with prospects, you're dealing with your existing customers, you're dealing with customers that you are trying to hand off maybe to another sales representative in your organization. You've grown enough that you can't cover all the cases that you've built. Wonderful situation to be in. So we get through all of that. And I think that's really the excitement of the entire program. So hopefully that gives you a good picture of what we're doing. As I said, we do it on a Saturday. We can get everybody in. We can do it by Zoom. We do location training as well. So if you have enough people and you want us to come to your location, we can do that as well. Feel free to give me a call. My phone number is on the screen. You can reach us at High Ground Medical. My email is bill@hgmed.com. You can reach us at info@hgmed.com, or of course the phone number that's there. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. Otherwise, we'll address those other questions that you have now. But we're going to stop the recording now and get into a more detailed discussion about the program for those people who have expressed such an interest. So thank you very much. And hopefully, if you are watching this, you'll take advantage of the program. And for those of you who are online, hold on one second and we will get to you. Thank you so much for attending.